He's that guy, you know. He's that guy in that show. That guy in that show.
Oh, that guy in that show. Yes, yes, indeed. Well, this week's That Guy in That Show is Burt Mustin. Professor, what can you tell us about Burt Mustin?
Well, Burt Mustin was born February 8th, 1884, and passed on January 28th, 1977. And he was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, he went to military college, was a civil engineer, and became a car salesman. He was a radio announcer. He did Gilbert and Sullivan. He belonged to the Pittsburgh Opera. He did barbershop singing. But, you know, most of his life, he worked. He had a job. He got his first movie acting job after he retired in 1951. And I think my math checks out. He was 67 years old when he got his first acting job. He was in an uncredited role as a janitor in Detective Story. It's a William Wilder movie with Kirk Douglas and William Bendix. That's a pretty good first job to get in the movies. And he moved to L.A. He did tons of TV, and you know this guy. He's, you know, since he didn't really start working until he was in his 60s, you know him as the old guy in that movie or in that show. He did tons of TV. He was on Leave It to Beaver, Abbott and Costello, Dragnet. He did 2 Twilight Zone episodes. He was in Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Get Smart, Beverly Hillbillies, The Monkees, Andy Griffith Show, Petticoat Junction. This list is crazy. The Lucy Show, All in the Family, Rhoda Emergency, Brady Bunch, Stanford and Son, Adam 12. And he played Old MacDonald in an episode of Batman. He was also in The Ghost and Mr. Chicken and in Snow White with the Three Stooges. You know, when you read a lot of these parts, there are a lot of, you know, old man in the pool hall, elderly man, court clerk, second tramp, rich man in mansion, man playing checkers, things like that. But you know, so these parts may be small and may be minor, but you know Burt Mustin. You know who he is, and whenever you see him, you're like, oh, this guy, yeah, he's good. I mean, considering, you know, how late in life he got his start, it's amazing that he was in so much. What do you remember about Burt Mustin, Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Professor. I'm trying to remember where Mustin was given a little more meat on the bone with some of his roles, and I'm trying to think where I first saw him. I watched Leave It to Beaver a lot as a kid, and he had the recurring role of Gus the fireman in that episode, and he always gave Beaver the sagely advice whenever Beaver needed it the most. And he talked with a calmness like of a uncle or grandfather, you know, not necessarily a parent. And he just looked at Beaver's predicament from Beaver's point of view, and he basically empathized with him. He gave Beaver a scenario that, you know, hey, this happened to me once when I was your age. I got through it, and this is how you did it. And it was just always heartwarming to hear Gus never being active, but just always sitting on a chair and always ready to give Beaver the advice. It was great. And as Beaver got older, though, I think one of the perils that Beaver faced was the fear of getting on a roller coaster at an amusement park. And Gus said, yeah, I was afraid to get on this up this ladder and jump in a net. And that's what all these firemen had to do. But I think I was no better than them. So you just tell yourself Gus in the net. And that was the one thing that always recurred through that episode. And it got to be kind of sad, though, because Gus, you know, was looking for the younger kids, you know, that would visit. And Beaver sort of outgrew it. And as the series dwindled down, you saw a little less of Gus as Beaver matured. And I thought that was kind of a shame. Professor, you mentioned the episode of Batman. Yeah, I think that was the Yegg-Foes in Gotham, where Vincent Price as Egghead wanted Old MacDonald's eggs. And you just had this classic egg fight in that final scene, so that was always memorable. A couple other memorable parts I remember Mr. Mustin in. Let's see, there was an episode of Dragnet where Mustin played a elderly crook who studied the newspaper, and when he found out that there were daytime events such as a funeral or a wedding, Mustin the crook would hit the place that, you know, he knew the people were going to be out at this event, and he would strike and do this. And so Friday notices the pattern, played by Jack Webb, and there's this great exchange when they finally nab Mustin, and they put him in this interrogation room, and he's just totally uncooperative. And they ask him what his age. Are you 60? Are you 70? Are you 80? And he goes, 80, 82. I'm no bookkeeper. He keeps repeating that line. I'm no bookkeeper, and everything like this. And he said, I could talk more if you gave me a cigarette, but of course, if you gave me a cigarette would really go with a meal. And if you gave me this meal with some pie, boy, that would be great, and some coffee. And he says, fella, we're not going to give you this meal just to give me this. Well, he goes, fine, I don't want your cigarette. And he throws it back at him. It just this brilliant turn where he plays off of Harry Morgan as Gannon and Jack Webb as Friday. I thought was just priceless. And a couple of other roles, All in the Family, he played an elderly guy named Quigley who escaped from a nursing home because of the treatment he was being there, and he sort of got adopted as from Mike and Gloria, and he just had a comedic turn, just such a presence. And then there was a Brady Bunch episode too, where Bobby Brady admired, of all things, Jesse James, and he thought Jesse James was this terrific hero and stuff. So they bring in Mustin, who tells him, "Oh, Jesse James was no hero. He was this murderer, and he did this." So he set Bobby straight. So he always had this earthly charm about him, where he talked to an adult or a kid, and he basically put things in perspective to that character, which was kind of nice to see him in Dragnet, where he played a, quote, bad guy, if you will. But I'll always remember Mustin as someone who gave sagely advice to both the young and old, and even gave advice to Archie. So it was really, really great. I mean, if you think of central casting, let's cast an old guy, it's Burt Mustin. And I would like to see, did he always look so old? I mean, just like he never really changed his physical appearance from when I saw him from black and white to color TV shows. It makes me wonder, what did this guy look like as an old man? And I just wonder. But lovable character actor, a fantastic guy with so many numerous credits. And I think if anything that fit our show with who's that guy in that show, Burt Mustin has to be included in our annals of that. So I am so glad we got a chance to talk about him on this episode.
Definitely. And now, you reminded me about that Brady Bunch episode, and I forgot about that one. It was so good.
Yes, Bobby has nightmares about Jesse James getting on board a train too. And he's just shooting, the parents and the kids. Just really graphic, and Bobby starts crying. It's just, oh my gosh, just the nightmare Bobby had. Holy cow! Yeah,
that was great. And then how Mustin was like, yeah, he wasn't a great guy. He was actually a very bad guy.
Yes. Always giving the advice. And now you've got me, when you listed the credits here, I'm going to try to look for some of those other ones that reran, because I Get Smart, I'm not sure I recall where he was there, and I thought I saw every episode of Get Smart. It's not coming to me. Andy Griffith Show, I think he played a character, of all things, named Bert. And I'm just going to have to watch out for him with as much TV reruns that I watch out there, that I'm always going to be on the lookout for Burt Mustin. Charming actor, great presence, and I just... one of those guys you say, oh, it's that guy, and here he is again. And he always delivered. He always delivered.
Yeah, definitely. He is this week's That Guy in That Show.
He's that guy, He's that guy in that show. That guy